So yeah, Chris is our chair of council. He's going to be running things. So okay. Well, I was thinking I'm actually doing this.
Good evening, everyone. We're pretty much ready to get started. We've got a few guys coming in on this side from this entrance, a couple at the back entrance. My name's Chris Heemstra. I'm chair of council and happy to see you here this evening. And to those watching, YouTubers around the world, welcome to our congregational meeting, where we're going to be talking tonight about potential renovations to the church. And we have the pleasure of having two guests here, so we have to be on our best behavior. So we have Stephen and Mike, and they're from A+ Link. That's the architects who have worked on the design. And they're going to kind of walk us through it. And then we're going to have a question and answer period where people have submitted their questions beforehand in the last few weeks. We're going to ask the architects the question, and they're going to share what their insights are behind the question. Then after all that, we are going to have any remaining questions from the audience. You can, something that's popped in your head while you're sitting there listening to them, then you'll be able to share those questions as well. There is no coffee or goodies afterwards, so you'll just need to invite yourself over to someone's house after you're on your way out, okay? So not my house, just someone else's house. I'm just kidding. My wife has the gift of hospitality, so you can talk to her. What I'd like to do before we start is just open with prayer, with a devotion, and then we'll get into the meat of the evening. So let's start with the devotion. It's titled Glory to God. We bring glory to God when our actions reflect his character, when we act with integrity, when we steward what he has entrusted with us, to care for people in ways that mirror his love. Glory is not added to God, it is revealed through our faithful living. Matthew 5 verse 18 says, "Let your light shine before others, so that they might see your good works, and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." Glory is often associated with dramatic moments, yet Jesus connects it to a visible, ordinary alignment and obedience. When integrity shapes a decision, when patience replaces frustration, when care is extended without expectation of return, God's character becomes visible. The action is seen, but the glory goes to the Father. Ephesians 3 verse 20 adds perspective. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. The ability to live this way does not come from personal strength alone. God's power is already at work within his people. The same power that accomplishes more than we can imagine is active daily in daily faithfulness, quiet endurance, and consistent love. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 31 31 broadens the scope. Whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. Nothing is too small. Meals, meetings, conversations, stewardship, decisions, all can reflect him when done consciously under his authority. Bringing glory to God is not about visibility or applause. It's about alignment, as his power works within our actions to begin to mirror his nature. So a question to consider: where today do you need to rely on his power so that your daily walk reflects his character? And I'd like to open with prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you as a congregation this evening to reflect on where we are and where you might be leading us next. We gather to review renovation plans with the architect, and we ask that this be a fruitful, thoughtful, and inspiring time together. At times we move ahead with energy, and at other times we hesitate. Give us wisdom and clarity as we consider the next steps before us. There's a large community around us that needs your hope and truth. If this building is used for your purposes, let it be a place where your light is shared, where your people are welcomed, and where those yet not in relationship with you can encounter grace and truth. Help us to be salt and light here in Aylmer, living out your calling faithfully. We thank you for the resources that you've blessed us with. Help us to use them wisely and responsibly. Our desire is to be a welcoming church, growing spiritually and reaching outward with the hope that you've given us. Make us faithful stewards of what you've entrusted to us. We come together as a diverse group of people with different perspectives, needs, in different stages of life, and from varying backgrounds. We thank you for this diversity. Help us to listen well to one another, to work in unity, and to form plans that honor you. Please step into the gaps in our plans so that you may be glorified. We pray this all in your Son's name. Amen. All right, so at this time, what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite Stephen from A+ Link Architects. If he would like to, he's going to talk a little bit about the plans, just give him a chance to inspire you like he's inspired the building committee. I've never heard him do a presentation, so I look forward to it myself. And then after that, we're going to break into question and answer. So please welcome Stephen.
Thank you very much. I'm assuming I'm live here. It's been a joy to work with your committee. I'm trying to remember, did we start pre-COVID or post-COVID? I can't remember now, but we've been wandering this journey for a while. And the goal has always been to do something that makes the place work better. Now, just to let you know, we're working with a number of different churches and have over the last 5 years, which is trying to unmaze them. Because churches from the 60s and 70s had certain aspects to them, even from the 80s, that were a bit more utilitarian. And what we've been finding is that they're not meeting current ministry needs. Parents want to know where their kids are. They want to know just simple paths of travel through a church. And ministry needs have changed. 50 years ago, if you went to a congregation and said, here's what church you need, you'd bring out a book of 3 different patterns and say, okay, you want this one, or this one. Times have changed. Congregations now, I can't tell you what ministry will look like in 10 years, let alone 20 years. And yet we're asked to build a facility that's going to last 30 or 40 years. So with that, it's how can we prepare for the future? Flexibility is a big one. Light and airiness. Many of you have grown up in churches that had basements for the classrooms. Well, it's hard to get parents to take kids to a basement now. So times have changed, and what churches have been looking for have changed. So when I started meeting with the committee, one of the things, of course, okay, this is where I get really scary, but I know there's a few Dutch people in the crowd. And Dutch are known for being frugal, and your committee was as well. They said, well, what can we do with minimal cost, minimal impact, and yet maximize the benefit? So what we've come up with in the terms of the plan, and I'm trying to think, what have we got in terms of, I'll walk you through the slides in a moment. So the biggest thing was creating a new entry to the church. An entry to the church building, because that's not, the building isn't the church, you're the church. The building is enabling your ministry as a church. So what we have actually done, and in all the working arounds and how it's worked out as committees do, things come and go, preferences, you know, what do we need? You test it out, you balance it back and forth. We end up with a new entry to the church. So we've turned your church around. We've taken what was the front door and made the main front entrance now off of a gathering space. So it's a welcoming, bright entry. Yes, we've added the covered porch. There was some discussion back and forth of whether that was an expense worth needing, but it was felt that it was, so we redeveloped it so that that was incorporated. So now that you can come in, let's take the next slide in. Waiting. Oh, it is. Oh, sorry, took a second. So yeah, so you can get let off into the stuff. I don't have a pointer here, but it's pretty easy to see. There's a big gathering space, which we've opened up. Oh, is there a pointer? Oh, cool, technology. I haven't used a laser in a long time. I'm feeling very excited here. Oh, okay, I won't name it at anybody. Or is anybody you want me to name it at? So, have we got the right button here? Yeah. Yes, okay, so entry into a large gathering space. So we've taken out in this zone the stage, and I believe what you were using as a workshop with the kids. So that gets taken out. This is very bright and open. There's lots of light. It's very clear this is the way in. Because right now, your front door is where nobody parks. It's a drop-off, it works, but nobody parks there. So very few people will come in that door. So now the goal is to bring everybody in the same way. So if we come in here through into this part of the building, so we coming in, you're in here, and now we still have both doors. We just decided we'd maintain them. They work. It's a great little detail, and you can open that up as needed, as much or as little as you want. We've maintained the corridor here. Probably we would get those doors held open most of the time. We've created a universal washroom. And then back in here, this is a choice. If you want, we can use that space, put in a meeting room and storage area if that's what's needed, or you can leave it open. But that was trying to maximize the space, because that's now going to be back of house. If you turn the sanctuary around, that becomes back of house, and then you gain some usable space. Down here, we took a corridor out and incorporated it into being part of the youth space. And the only new roof we're adding is a little bit of roof here and the canopy. So we've minimized the beyond the building costs, because beyond the building costs more than just renovating inside. So we've tried to maximize the space that you already have, redirect it so it's very easy when you come in. Somebody here can direct people to kids ministry, which is now back in here, and or youth ministry, which is right here. And then as you, or they just walk into the facility. So as I was saying to the team beforehand, I've spent this last year, as I get closer to retirement, I've decided I'm wanting to help churches in the long run. So I thought I should see what's going on in the world of churches around Southern Ontario. So I've had a chance to visit about 40 different churches in the past year for such services, and see what people are up to. And there's all sorts of good variety. You know, some are big into the stage bands and everything, and others are into organs, and so you've got the whole range. And that's what I was deliberately trying to do, different denomination. And what happens with all the older buildings, they tend to be mazes and hard to get in and out. And most churches are doing a decent job at the welcoming of people at the beginning of service, saying hi. But where most of the time I noticed as a broad comment is that churches are not doing a good job on the exit. And this is one space that if you come in, it's easy to know where to go to sit down, and it's easy to come back out and see that people are gathering here before you leave. So this is a really great spot. The whole point is gathering. I mean, some of you, when I was a young boy going into church, that meant you were quiet and you were getting ready for worship before it was quiet. That was my Presbyterian upbringing. By the time I'm older, I'm looking at it and analyzing it. And the reason we're noisy before church is because most people don't see each other except on Sunday morning. This is your time to reconnect and become community. That's the super value. And I don't think I have to sell you very hard on making that space as a gathering space. I think that's very easy to do. And I think if we go into some of the photos, some of the images, let's try the next one. Next one, I guess. Only, only 3 came through. Oh, I'm sorry. We had all the other images. We got them? Okay, oh, that's not so good. Well, you've seen the photos, the images around the space of the gathering space, how it's fitted out. As you can see, it's a very welcoming, bright space. It's big. It's a chance to meet people. You can have coffee and different things. So that's the sort of stuff we're trying to incorporate into churches, is how do we gather together? How do we keep connecting? Because the ministry one to another is super huge in a culture that is, quite frankly, atomized in many ways. And individualistic, but people need community. And so the gathering space on the way in and on the way out are huge. That's where people can say, oh, let's get together for coffee this week. Let's do things like that. So I think that's the vision behind what we're doing here. When you change the direction of the church, it makes a lot of sense to now come in backwards and aim that way. And you have a really nice size room here that's not too long, and it works really well for ministry. So, I mean, Pastor Andrew might be able to say, it's still nice to be able to know that the person in the back row, you can still see their eyes and know whether they're asleep or not. You know, this is a good size room. And I think the new proposal, we show just under 300 chairs. I believe right now there's maybe slightly more than that in here, but I'm sure that we can fit, based on what I'm seeing right here and what we're proposing, we would use exactly the same number of chairs that are here now in the new reverse sanctuary space. So anyway, I think that probably takes us to a good spot. Is that enough visioning of how we got here? And thank you to the committee who we've worked with, and it's been various different players over the time, and it's always wonderful working with church committees and where they're going. So I'll leave you to lead the questions.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks very much for that, and it's a great start, Stephen. So the current flow problems that we have, what are you trying to solve? And how does the direction change of the sanctuary chairs have any impact on this? So if you can, I know you've kind of alluded to it a little bit, but I'm just going to go through some of the questions that floated in, and you can speak to each one.
Am I going to answer? Oh, so that's number one?
Yeah, well, it's number two. I'm going to take number one later on. I think it's going to become.
Now I have to get organized. Okay, I think this is.
So I'll just read it out to you. So what are the current flow problems that we're trying to solve? And how does the direction of the sanctuary chairs have any impact on this?
Am I on the same chart? I think so. Okay, okay, perfect. Okay, I'm in the right spot. Awesome. So flow, there's different words for flow. You can say, just when you're visiting a church, which I happen to have done quite a bit this last year, so I can really speak to it as somebody who's just done it. Knowing where to go when you come in is always a challenge. So right now, somebody comes in one of the back doors. Where do I go? How do I get into the sanctuary? Where is all that stuff, right? And I think what we've done very clearly here is made a front door to the street. Now, it's not South Street, but it's to the side street. So that is going to be a little bit of reorientation required. Maybe getting rid of the drive at the front, the split drive at the front, might actually be a way to do that. And to say, take the emphasis off of that face and put it onto this side. You put you put a canopy there. We've got some signage on it. I think there is some talk about signage later in this, so we'll talk about that. That's a great idea to put signage up. Wayfinding is what they call it in our sector now. But yeah, so we got that. But it's nice to be able to come in, go clearly, know where to go and where to go back out. That is what flow would be for us as an architect. There's other ways of calling it, but I'll go with flow for today. That sounds good. Okay.
Okay, so then the rebuttal to that question they had was, how about we just leave the chairs facing the front and have the people walk in from the overflow towards the congregation?
Oh, so it can work. I'm not going to say that you have to do both. I'm just saying, from my perspective, it's much better if we do both at the same time, and because we turned the church around. So because coming into the front platform, as a visitor, now even as a regular, you might feel that you don't want to, if you're a little bit late, Do you want to be coming in here? No, you're going to then have to go back around through a maze to get entry. So this is the plan that we have, and maybe we should, that plan there, well, put the focus down. So, back to the plan. The plan was good. So coming in here, it's obvious where you're going to go into the auditorium sanctuary, versus having to go down a corridor, across the back, find a door to come in. Now, can people do that? Sure. But I've just had to walk past a whole bunch of washrooms and utility spaces to get there. And I think that you want to know where those are, because washrooms are important when you're visiting churches. But that can be done with some nice signage that takes you up there. And then we have another nice set of washrooms here. And that, by the way, is the new universal washroom, which is a family washroom, is the other name for it. So
Great. And we're going to stay on this flow concept here. So currently we have 4 entrances and exits to the sanctuary. Doesn't having just one entrance through the overflow limit our flow instead of improving it?
That's an interesting question. Does it improve it? I think it improves it. First of all, it's a much wider access space. You're not going through a door narrow, so it's a nicer flow out in terms of that. And there's also nice that you know everybody else is going the same way. I think that, and if we're trying to encourage people to interact with each other, if you're trying to just do what the building department wants and get exits out the building, then the doors you've got work for that. But ideally, we're going all in the same flow direction together, and you get the chance to connect with people, see people you haven't seen in a while. If somebody's new, you get to greet them. And that's where you can put your effort in terms of welcoming team, greeter team action is taking place in that one spot. We all know where you are. There's not 6 ways you've got people going. Now, are people going to use, are the parents who are in the know, are they going to sneak out this door to go get a kid? Sure, it's going to happen. But if this is your family home and you know everything and everywhere, you're going to have your spaces and you're going to know what to do it. But the bigger group is going to go in one direction, and it's nice to be part of the bigger group. That's my feeling.
Okay, so we're still on flow. If the back hallway becomes a storage area, that's not me, I don't think.
I hope I put my phone on silent.
Anyways, if the
back
back hallway,
it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
yeah, if the back hallway becomes,
Otherwise, I've got to click out 25 cents or whatever. So
yeah,
is it
yeah.
up to $1?
We do $200 here for visiting people. Yeah. It's for a building fund, so it's a good fund, or renovation fund, I should say. If the back hallway behind the sound system there, it becomes a storage area or becomes a classroom and it's blocked off, doesn't this create a new flow problem for an impassable hallway? So for example, a parent taking their child from a Sunday school room over here to the new family or universal bathroom now has quite the journey to go all the way around to there.
Yeah.
And
so I already spoke to that even as I was talking earlier. This is optional to be done, but it is back of house now. Like, we've turned this into a back of house space if we reverse the auditorium. So does it matter that there's stuff back there? No, everybody can get out. There's a set of doors right there, a set of doors there for exiting. If a family is here and needs to go, so the universal family washroom, that is designed for people who need an assistant to help them use the facilities. So if you have a child who has is in a wheelchair and needs to be changed, and they happen to be in this room here, yes, they would have to go around like this and into here. It is a bit longer. It's not crazy longer. And I'm going to say, if you have somebody who's in that situation, there's a lot of people, who will help direct you properly if you're new to the facility, and more likely you're part of the family here already, and you know where to go and you plan for it. I don't think it's as crazy as that, but.
Thanks. If the church grows and the sanctuary's seating is slightly reduced, overflow seating becomes increasingly necessary. For the overflow seating, people cannot see the stage if we flip the sanctuary around. What's your advice on that or comment?
Yeah, that's true. If you said, no, it's really more important that we have seating off to the side and we open up, you leave the sanctuary like this. I don't think it's critical anymore with the electronics and size of screens and capability of stuff. One of the things that we find when we talk to congregations and the congregations that I've been part of is that this space, some people never make it to the service. So I'm not speaking to the overflow in the sense of extra people. I'm just saying that this becomes a ministry space over and above what happens in this room. And really deep, meaningful stuff. Somebody's just had a death. Somebody's had whatever, they're going through a crisis and they just meet with somebody and sit there. But if you need to overflow, you set a bunch of seats out there and you set up a screen. I mean, electronically, we've learned since COVID that you can do stuff remotely. It's not excellent, but it's quite doable and the quality is fine now. And it's not difficult to pull off. You could actually set classrooms up for remote if there's that many people for an event. So electronics can help us. Is it ideal and perfect? No, but it works.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the stained glass windows at the back there above the organ pipes. Are they being repaired or removed? What in your vision?
We did not price for them. We'll make that clear. That was not included in the pricing that was done. At least Victor's back there. Is that correct? You didn't. So we were looking at ways to put screen across them so that blackout, so that you can not be affected during the service. But that had been included, but the replacement and fixing them hadn't been done.
All right, so we're going to jump to if the church grows beyond its current capacity, a flipped sanctuary has our backs to the wall with no room for expansion. Shouldn't we wait for the day that we exceed our capacity and a sanctuary renovation is then necessary? Then the sanctuary can expand onto the front yard. Do you want to talk about pushing out onto the front yard and the implications?
Well, first of all, that has to do with, I'm going to put that back to the chair of the board, because the first question I'd say is, are you against double services? Okay, so if 2 services is a quick answer that's very affordable. For the pastor, it's a lot more stressful because it's now 2 sermons, and for the support team at the back, it's usually a lot of work. If you were to push out, I think I made the comment that this is a really nice shape, size room that has a really good feel to it. And if we push that wall out the back, can it be done? Absolutely, it can be done. The costs are going to be a lot higher to do that than to go to a double service, first off. But that would involve a lot of structural connections out, and you're going to end up with a longer, thinner room. Like it'll feel a lot more distance to the back wall. So if that's what you want, I mean, there are some really beautiful cathedrals in the world I could talk to you about that are very long, but it's a very different worship experience. And so you have to say, is that the worship experience you want as a church? Plus the fact, anything going that way, we're going to be paying full price for new build, and that's the most expensive part of the building now. Most of what we have done in this proposal so far is staying within the envelope you have, which is why the budget numbers are actually quite reasonable for what we're doing. And that's what we did deliver that deliberately, not just because you're Dutch, but because it's good common sense. and so, yeah, that's what we do.
Okay, so just noting Andrew's response to doing 2 services on Sunday and Steve Brewer and those guys at back doing 2 services. How about a balcony? Is that affordable? We could put a balcony in here, just off the top of your mind. You can say I'll think about it.
I'm looking at Mike. My partner Mike is back there.
There's no wrong answer.
Prefer not to do balconies, but what do you think, Mike? Balcony?
Is it accessible for everyone? Are you putting a lift in? Now you need to have stairs. Let's take up square footage, so it's tricky.
Yeah, it's like I don't think you'd gain enough.
Okay, 2 services then.
2 services. Oh,
or we do.
Sorry. From a cost perspective, 2 services absolutely wins every time.
We could also do a church plant somewhere else.
Church plants work as well.
That would be successful. Okay. What are the benefits to push for the entire project instead of considering the overflow entrance renovations So let's, I think, that way. And as a separate topic from the sanctuary renovations. So they both can't be accomplished at the same time, even if they are funded. But what about not pushing for both at the same time? The congregation could vote on the topic separately. Some members will see benefits for one part of the renovations, but not the other. So voting as a single project may only shut down the entire renovation. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Mike and I chatted about this. We do a lot of renovations that are within existing facilities that are operational. In fact, we work on police facilities that are 24/7 operations, and we still make it work. So what I would say is that the benefit of doing it as a single package is you get one price from the contractor, and it's a continuous process, and we work through a scheduling and a phasing so that everything can be done in a reasonable place and time, and ideally as minimal lost time in the sanctuary as possible. You know, I think we can operate in the sanctuary while it still may be somewhat phased, but it's much easier and less costly. So if you, and Victor would attest to this, is if you end up doing it in two separate phases that are very distinct. So in other words, we're going to do it this year, and then we're going to do the sanctuary 2 years later. Let's just take that as a scenario. It's doable, and it would work, but your costs will be much higher doing it as two separate projects versus one that just flows, because the upfront startup costs you have to pay twice if you do it as two different projects. Architecturally, the cost will be higher because you have to get two separate permits, two separate set of drawings, two separate sets of contract administration time. So the costs go up if you separate the projects. Plus the fact, if you do it all at once, it's all in 1 year's dollars. If you do it this year and then you do it 2 years later, that's 2 years plus inflation dollars is what you're paying for. And you haven't had use of that for those 3 years. Now, this is where we present these to you as a congregation and as a leadership team, and you make a decision of what it is you want to do. Is it better financially for us to do it as two packages, but we know we're going to pay more, but that suits where the funding for the congregation is? Or is it better just to dive in and go deep, you know? It's like, just do it, get it done, and then get on with life. So those are and we don't make those decisions. We've often, so Forest City Community Church years ago, we did the additions that include the atrium and then the more ministry wings down the side. When we did that first package with them, we said to them, do you want, you said to us you want all of this, okay? That's what they said, we want all of this. We said, you can't afford all of this. We said, your budget told us you can have this, or you can have this. Maybe you can have that as well as one of those other two, right? We went to them that way. They took 6 months of prayer and deep prayer, and they came back and said, we have to do it all at once. We just can't function unless we do it all at once. So this is what we try to present to you as a congregation. Here are your options. You have to decide where you want to go and what is the right steps to do it. But lowest cost will always be doing it all at once per square foot, and that will always be true. But it's a bigger number. So, you know, we can't make that decision for you. We can help you to make a wise decision, right? And hopefully it's, unless the Lord builds a house, right? That's what you have to be working through. And these are wisdom decisions. There's not a right and a wrong. So.
Great. Thanks, Stephen. This is more of not an architect question, but it's a comment. So as a BA member, I'd like to point out that the only funding that matters towards the renovation is donations above and beyond a member's budgetary obligations. A donation that comes at the cost of reducing future budgetary giving means that it's still coming at a cost of all of our members and not just that giving member. If a renovation donation far exceeds a member's typical tithing, a member still has yearly budget expectations. So I guess my comment is, as chair, is that, yeah, that is, people give based on kind of on their tithing and on how God has blessed them and how they feel. The impact is people believe in causes and they donate to causes and they try to give what's God's back to God's kingdom. And that nothing has changed just because we're doing renovation. It would still, everything would still carry on with the individual's decision between him and God. Obviously, there is a church budget that we're all committed to as a family, a congregation, and we work towards doing it. So as long as the renovation is aligning with our mission, which is doing kingdom work here in town and reaching out into the community, then people will decide for themselves. Okay, so question number 12. I understand the purpose of this renovation is to bring more people into the church. However, I'm told that rotating the sanctuary half a turn would reduce our seating capacity. In addition, changing the sanctuary layout would make current overflow area unusable for seating. If that were the case, where would we accommodate new members as the congregation grows? And I think we've kind of touched on that, whether we do 2 services or a church plant, or whether if we had a lot of people here for a special event that we'd have to use some technology that you mentioned, Stephen, with screens. That's kind of been covered.
You missed number 11.
Number 11. Yeah, I did. Can you read it to me? Because it's not on my, it's cut off.
It said, could the architect, building committee, look into taking down the 2 arches, which I'm assuming laser works, these 2 arches here.
Also the concrete wall.
And the concrete wall, yeah, okay. So, I worked for a store planning company one summer as a summer job after I got married, and the project manager took me aside and he said, Steve, we're going to go into the store. And the store owner for sure is going to say he wants you to get rid of that column. So he says, Steve, you tell him, yes, we can do it. And then you're supposed to say some obscene price number. He says, I haven't moved a column yet. So let me just say it this way, that you don't want to touch it. Okay, that's not money well spent for what we're talking about.
What about that chunk of concrete there?
That's potentially available, yeah. Taking out the concrete in here is not the problem, it's taking out the arches. They're gorgeous, but it's also expensive.
Okay, thanks for catching that missing one. So, number 13. My concern is that the renovation may leave us with too little space in the long run, which could eventually force us to consider building an entirely new church. If that happens, the investment in this renovation may end up wasted. Perhaps it would be better to reconsider the plan and instead explore building onto the front of the church on the front lawn. That approach could preserve the existing space that we already rely on and avoid the need to relocate the cadets from their current area. So I think you a little bit alluded to the cost of building out. If you
yeah, the building of cost out there is more expensive. We talked about multiple services being a better way to grow. And I think doing this renovation that we're proposing is an incredibly more efficient use of this building space we have. And that's one of the things we really focus on. And it's flexible. It's flexible in its use, which is, well, my comment about we don't know what ministry looks like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So flexibility is key at this time. And I think this plan does all that. A new facility, I mean, the worst case scenario is, let's say you do, God calls you to build a brand new, large 700-seat auditorium. By the way, A+ Link wants to be there with you for that. I just want to say that very clearly. We're there for you. Let's say God calls you. In the meantime, you've given somebody else a really nice sanctuary building to buy because another church will buy this because it's a good working space, right? So, but again, that's where you have to, as a board and as a congregation, have to say, where are you going and what is God calling you to do? So. Yeah,
I think the key priorities of a church were obviously be a welcoming community, so be known as a welcoming church. And then number 2 is that alongside of that we would be growing spiritually as a congregation and leading other people in their spiritual walks from our community. And then the 3rd thing was kind of presenting hope in our community and, excellence in worship within this facility. And so by making some of the changes, we feel that kind of ties into what we're shooting for. The council did not ask for a big growth plan for the building. They just asked for renovations of the plan. So Stephen and Mike have kind of worked within that mandate. Number 14, how much money has been spent in preparation so far on the proposed building renovation? So I reached out to Jane, our church treasurer, and she reported back that we're just shy of $21,000 that has been invested into the cost estimate that we had recently done by Graceview, and then by the concept drawings by the architect, and the changes over the time. So just rounded off to $21,000 so far. Okay, and then the next one was number 15. Should we not vote as a membership before we go much further, before we spend excessive amounts of money on this project? So yes, the question is, when are we going to vote? And some people are tired of waiting. Other people think we're moving too fast. But the goal is that after tonight's meeting, council is going to be meeting in March, and they will decide what the next step is. But it's anticipated that there would be some sort of vote early this spring, and that would decide whether we're going to be moving forward or not moving forward. So the reason for tonight was there's always a lot of questions, and it's always nice to know what you're voting on and to have clarity. So that was the outcome of tonight's meeting. And the other thing was to give the architect a chance to speak to his vision so that we could hear it directly and either be inspired or not inspired, but at least we'd be able to make up our minds personally, each one of us, whether it was something that we feel is the right thing or a wrong thing to do as a congregation. So number 16. We think there are a number of smaller improvements that could be made to make us a more welcoming church. So this is more of a comment than a question, I believe. So A, make all outside doors of the church automatically open so that they're wheelchair accessible for those that are mobility concerned, as well as the southeast sanctuary door. So I think when they said all outside, they meant all outside plus the southeast. Number 2, or B comment, improve the audio video equipment. So currently Stefan has been busy working with the sound guys and the video people. So that's an ongoing thing, and they're actually been replacing pieces and bits, so we'll see where that takes us. Comment was to install a digital sign for practical and outreach purposes. So changing our old sign on the front lawn to a digital one.
You might consider relocating it.
And relocating it.
And say, there's the new front door. Yeah, so I mean, that's part of the reorienting of the whole facility.
So they're kind of onto the same concept as what you're thinking too, for bringing people to the front. And then, if possible, install a family washroom, which is obviously part of the presented plan for renovations. So if you have any ideas, then obviously you could write a letter to BA or write a letter to council at any time. You don't have to wait for any survey. Just write a letter. I always encourage you to write letters. So thanks for those suggestions. Number 17, the first question we would like to address is, what is the accurate number of seats that we will be losing in the sanctuary? And just for a little backgrounder, I think, Andrew, you counted today, so this is fresh. 336 seats are in here right now, and the architect has indicated we are going to be slightly down from that.
Yeah, our drawings with the size chairs that we used, which I thought were this size, we've done a slightly different layout. We're at just under 300 showing, but I'm looking at the chairs you have in here, and I know what the plan is that we've got, and it's like, yeah, we would just take all these chairs that are here right now and turn them 180, and we'd have the same number of chairs. It's going to be in the zone. Like, we're not seriously changing the number. Okay.
And the chairs have been spaced out a bit. So since we had the chairs originally installed, I don't know how long ago that was, there was a lot of extra capacity in our congregation seating. So they took one row out all the way across. So we actually have bigger spaces than what people are aware of as well. So there is some capacity still within. The members who are sitting in the overflow will not be able to see the pastors and the praise team. So this is regarding sitting there and not being able to see down by the soundboard. They will have to watch on a screen, which is something that you had mentioned, Stephen. How does that enhance the worship experience? They might as well worship from home. And do you want to speak a little bit more to that, or just kind of?
I mean, those are fair comments. we have technology that we didn't have 100 years ago, so we can do things that we couldn't do in the past. Yeah, remote is never as nice. It might encourage you to come in sooner and be early to church. Andrew thinks that's a great idea, I'm sure. I'll blame him for that one. So yeah, I mean, it's always nicer when we can always be together. My guess is that that's probably a special event thing that's more likely to happen. And then you set it up for the special event. Yeah, just to make sure that there's a route out of there for fire safety and all that stuff. All those things that are just have to be done and maintained. So. Is it ideal to be the person out in there? It's better to be there and at least be part of the action. I would say maybe it's not quite as good as, but I was going to say not everybody was in the back. I was going to make a back row Baptist comment, but you know, there are front seats still available normally most Sundays, are there not, Andrew? But then your churches are like the churches I'm part of, so.
Okay, number 19. Concerning the closing off of the back hallway and taking out both double doors, according to the plan, the one is to be replaced with a door on the right wall near the second beam, so that's kind of over that direction.
Correct.
After the service, this creates more congestion in the hallway as parents are picking up their children from Sunday school. It will also make it noisier in the sanctuary during the service as Sunday school rooms are across from that door. If the area is closed off, anyone in the hallway, on that hallway for classes, will have to go all the way around to get to the kitchen or the family bathroom if needed. The subject of flow keeps coming up. What's wrong with the flow now? I think we addressed part of it. Maybe you could talk a bit about the sound and I think.
Yeah, so the two doors that we're talking about is we take out the double doors that are at the back because we now said, hey, there's this back of house dead space we might as well make use of. We don't have to, but we'll still end up with a door here and a door here. This shouldn't be too much of a problem because now that this is essentially a quiet corridor that goes nowhere, because that's what it will be. It's going to be a kids ministry wing. It has an exit at the end, which the code requires, but it's all you're going to have at this door is maybe 2 classrooms worth of kids. So it's not actually going to be, this is sort of the end of the run. The noisier part is probably going to be down in here at this, where this door is at the back. So I'm not sure it's too much of an issue. You know, like I say, these rooms, we could do everything else and at the last minute decide whether or not to do those 2 rooms. I mean, realistically, those are the options we have, especially if you go construction management. You can be a little more flexible in that sort of approach and see, you know, do we really need it? You know, and that's okay, up there.
All right, next one. This goes to the sanctuary. If it's turned around, all of the natural light from the windows is eliminated. If we find that the windows are in need of replacing, is that price included in the existing proposal?
No, is a simple answer. But in terms of, I would leave the windows, and I think we were looking at just ways of putting some roller blinds on them so that we can actually have light whenever we want light from them. And then, just close them off if you need a dark room for that part of the service. That would be my thoughts. It might be the very top we might leave as always always open, just because if we can do a blind that comes in straight at 90 degrees, then sorry, there's some technical issues that we have to face of what's affordable to do, so.
Okay. Also, does the one proposed screen cover the organ pipes, and how will that affect the organ sound and looks?
We don't have our latest image here for some reason. We apologize that there was a confusion about the images. I'm trying to remember the latest version. I think we got rid of the central screen and we went with 2 side screens was the approach we were doing. So the organ pipes will always be visible as part of the backdrop of the platform.
Okay. All right, that answers that. Number 21, the proposal also has the hallway closet in the nursery closed off to make one large room. Will that limit the access to the storage rooms when there's meetings going on? I understand that the size of the youth room and the council rooms are fine for the numbers now. Why is there a need to change that? I guess they're referring to the taking the making the room bigger, I guess is what they're referring to. Why is there a need to change that?
I think that's in here they're talking about, right? Is that the room? Am I correct?
If you follow that one line.
Yeah, so there's a line here.
Yeah, so there was a
So
wall.
there was a door here. In our discussions at committee, we decided the door could move over here. If it needs to move back here, it's just you're opening it onto the youth room versus opening it onto the nursery. It was felt it was more valuable to open it onto the nursery. It already does, right? It does.
Only one,
What's that?
only one. There's three doors in that hall now.
3 doors here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the sleep room now, I believe. So yeah, so we could reconfigure these doors however we want it. If there's a better reason or rationale, send a note in and we'll deal with it at the committee level. That's not a difficult solution. The bigger thing here is that we took over and took what was wasted corridor space, and part of an exit system is now part of a youth room. So we've actually increased the efficiency.
All right. That was the hallway. Okay. This is about reducing the usable entrances to help ensure better hospitality flow. Will some doors serve simply as fire exit doors only, equipped with panic hardware and without exterior handles?
So that's
Okay,
referring to-
so what I see happening is this is now the new front door. And this door here, which is very well used right now, will continue to be well used. This door will probably be essentially exit only, as will this one be exit only. But there's no reason you couldn't unlock them on a Sunday morning and say everybody comes in. But if you are really trying to control building access, whether we get down to taking the hardware off the door or just have it lock, I mean, it's somewhat, I mean, they have to be exits. But because we've opened this up here this way, we didn't need to have this door as an exit. So that's how we could gain space make better efficiency in the space.
Okay. How can we prevent new guests from approaching those two doorways in such a case, and then having to circle the building to find the open entrance?
I want to believe as an architect that making an entry that looks like an entrance attracts people. So I think that right now you have a bunch of entrances that look the same. So they're all equally look the same. Now, if we put a big canopy up and glass, it's like, oh, that's where I should go. So if I'm visiting, I think that would be my quick answer. Can you go to things like putting cones in the way? You can do all sorts of things. Put a tree in the way. I don't know. It's, you know, there's ways to say don't come to this door.
Could we take out the fire lane on that side where all the classrooms are?
Well, there's the loop around for the drop off.
Yeah.
I would get rid of that.
So that would be grass.
I would just make it grass. Yeah.
So that would take care of people not walking up to that door.
Yeah. I mean, there'd be a sidewalk to it because you need it, but for exiting, but that's it.
All right, this is about the roof on the new entrance pop-out piece. Do flat roofs have some lifespan, or do they have the same lifespan? No. Do flat roofs have the same lifespan, and are they as maintenance-free as a peaked roof?
Flat roofs are terrible. We do low slope roofs, so everything. If you get the water off a flat roof, what you used to call a flat roof is actually fairly typical. We specify a 20-year non-prorated warranty flat roof. You can pay for cheaper flat roofs and save money, but all roofs require maintenance. Even that metal roof requires maintenance. You've got to do it. And the lower slope roofs, you just need to be on top of them, make sure that, you know, once a year you're inspecting it, make sure it's fine. I would say the majority of institutional buildings have low slope roofs because it's more affordable in the long run. That's the simple answer.
So is the one that you have, it's a low slope flat roof? Or?
We always slope to drain.
Okay.
So back when I was first starting in architecture, we still had the idea that you put the roof drain at the high spot in the roof. Victor, I know, has found those on sites.
High and dry.
Keep them high and dry. You don't have any problems with them. The roof deteriorates faster. No, that was the joke at the time. Sorry.
Okay, and then how can we make the glass entrance side, or from the parsonage side of the parking lot, visible? Should there be a larger sign on the roof line above it?
We can talk further at committee about the placement. I mean, part of this, actually, can we get back to the site plan for just a second? That might be an easier place. So we don't have enough on here, but there's the driveway comes along. You have the big loop out to the, like the 2 lanes that go here. One option would be to make this an exit only. That would bring people, force people down to this side of the facility. And if they want to do the loop here, to do that. I mean, those are considerations we can come up with and look at to see what makes the most sense. But I mean, the answer is that we've given a canopy and we made it strong. And you want to then, from a site perspective, to de-emphasize this entry here, brings people back to the back. So either they come in there, but I think most people, new people, will see the front door and the canopy and say, oh, that's where I should go in.
Good.
Now, if you're bringing a friend with you and you happen to park far over here, you'll walk them in whichever way you want to walk them in, because you know that you're part of the family here, right? So these things. But if I'm a visitor, I look for the front door.
The other one was about the mailboxes. Would they stay where they are, or do you typically put mailboxes in the foyer or that kind of welcome area?
I thought about that question. That's a question for you to answer, is the correct way for me to respond. But I would say that that's a family thing, and that can easily not be in the main gathering space, which is the welcoming place. So I would tend to not want to put them out to clutter up the space. I would rather keep them where you have them if they're working. And if they're not working, then let's talk. But if they're working fine, that's a family thing. You don't have to have that in your welcome space.
Okay, so that is all the questions that were emailed into Teresa. And I think I didn't miss any. Stephen didn't point out I missed any more. So now it's your turn. And we have one question here. And if you've got a question, just pop your hand up and don't make it too hard.
Okay, I hope you don't mind that I walk. If you could bring up the one that has the drawings again, that one, okay.
Yeah.
So according to that, we're going to put a new stage, if this is proposed, on this end. Am I correct?
Correct. Oh, yeah.
So let's pretend we're putting that stage over here. We also need a walkway. According to the proposal, the new seats would start here, which I've marked off with tape. So these chairs would all be gone. It's 135.
Yeah, but they get moved back to here.
Okay, I'm gonna get there.
Okay.
So bear with me. So on this end, we need to recreate the sound system again. The organ's staying here. The sound system as it is now is 6 by 18, I believe. So let's, just for argument's sake, that's tucked back in there. And then we need about a walkway like we have now, sort of. So we need to have a walkway again to 6 feet or so. So that leaves us maybe 3 rows again to gain here. I'm not sure. I think being gracious, we could get 2 more here. But I mean, I've done counting 2, and I'm not trying to be a pain here, but I've counted losing 78 seats. I'm just not sure how you make up 135, losing them there, and still having the sound system here and a decent walkway for flow.
I mean, we can take a further look at that for you. I think we're going to lose some seats, but I think it's in the 20 to 30 range at most.
Okay.
And that's extreme
Okay.
loss. Like, I think when I look at this room and I see the layout that you've got, if we take the exact same layout, flip it over and pull it back.
But we can't put chairs back here, like against the wall like we did there. That's the problem. Like, we can't put any seats back here because this is staying in a sound system. So we're working with, let's say we're going to make our hallway here.
Well, we may change our tune on this. Like, the more I look at it, why did we leave it here? It should be plunked up in the corner of the stage. Would make more sense, just because that's, if you're leading the congregation, it's a little
Is that in
easier.
the price?
Oh, I mean, all it is a cord and a wire.
I heard a rough number that when they swapped it, however many years ago, that it was in the $20,000 range. That was a long time ago.
Well, we're getting closer to assuming the organ actually works.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Oh, well, if we're getting closer, the wire's already there, so we're just going to pull the wire back to where it is. So that should be not a critical number within the overall flow of things.
I'm just going by what I've counted. 7 rows on that side, 7 rows, 5 in the middle. And then I'm just not sure how we can make up 7 rows back here, 7 rows and 5 in the middle without losing, a good number of seats. That's just my counting.
Okay, we'll see what the computer says later.
Yeah, we can test it.
We'll test it on a model on paper or whatever you need to do.
Yeah, we
So-
can just take the size of the chair and do it.
All right, other questions? Got two over here. We're gonna have Ralph go first. Hand up fastest.
I just have two questions, or two observations, and the first one has to do with your gathering place. And it's great, you know, you talk about flow, and I agree with flow and everything else, but the trouble is, all the people that go here know the flow that's in this church, so we don't need new flow for us. And that room there that you're gonna make the gathering place is absolutely terrible for acoustics. You cannot hear each other there if you're 2 feet apart. You can't hear each other there. If you got any plans whatsoever to change so the acoustics work, because we've had quasi-acoustic engineers in here say, do this, do that, and do that. Nothing works, and nothing will work in that room because it's the wrong shape and it's got the wrong material on it. So what's that gonna cost to change that to make it a comfortable room? Okay, number two, my question would be, if you're gonna have everybody coming in this side here, our administration is at the far end of the church. And we tried to tell ourselves that we're a seeker church, or that we're looking for seeker people. And they're gonna come in this door, this brand new entrance that we have, that's fantastic, and it's gathering and everything else. But Teresa's sitting way over there, and how are they gonna find her? You got nothing on your plan there for an office and for our executives and our administrators to sit someplace where the people that walk in during the week can talk to somebody. People say to me, I said, you know, I'd like to come and see your church, but it's always locked. I said, well, I know that because there's nobody there. But we haven't changed that either.
That's
That's
a symptom of our time, I'm afraid. So acoustics, I'll deal with that one first. We have actually included 4 acoustic baffles and panels in that space for that very reason. Some of which I think we may have integrated with the lighting as well. So the light fixtures themselves have an acoustic baffle. We've been using that quite successfully on quite a few projects. They're essentially a non-organic felt panels that are pre-cut there. If you see bright colors in there, we actually have them on the walls as well. Because we recognize that fact. There is an acoustic problem in there now. It's hard walls, hard floor. We're trying to put down carpet and seating, which will take some. People actually absorb some of the sound, but no, you need more than that. You need to stop the bounce. And so, yes, we have included for that, and that is in the price, doing that. But a fair comment. Those are things that, you know, if I hadn't heard that comment, we need to hear it before we start building. The office administration one. I would think this is something that you as a congregation have to decide. But midweek, this office area works right now, it'll keep working. It isn't affected by the gathering space in that sense. You know, and that's a signage thing to make sure there's a nice office sign on the outside, so if somebody comes midweek, they know to go there. I think on a Sunday morning, my experience is you don't need the administrative in the welcome and gathering connecting area. It's a different ministry. Now, you know, if that is a core part of your ministry here, then I think, yes, you would want to look at that. But my typical understanding from the churches that I have been working with is they say, yeah, the office is important, do it right, but it doesn't need to be where people are coming in on the Sunday morning. As long as it has a nice, easy access during the week, and yours does. So I think that maybe we looked at that and said, hey, it's working. We don't need to touch it, save money. Don't go there. So that, have I answered your question properly on that, on both of those?
Well, my only problem is that if you're gonna change that gathering place and make it acoustically fit for people to gather, then you're gonna take away our activity center, because we use that a lot during the week, because we're a 7-day operation here. You know, we're not just a Sunday morning operation. So if that room all of a sudden becomes carpet and chairs and tables in the way and everything else, then that takes away the activity that we do in there. Where are we gonna do that? That's just an observation. I mean, that's, you know, it's whatever we decide we want to do, I guess, whether we want activity in that room or whether we want to gather there 1 day a week.
I can't answer that question, so.
It was my understanding that the room would be, there'd be some sitting area in the corner. Is that kind of what you had in mind?
Yeah, we haven't got the doctored up version, but yeah, the intention was this could be a sitting area, this could be a seating area here, and then the flow essentially, you know, there's the line of the absolute flow, but then this is where you do your gathering along in here, or you flow through there. So, if we don't put carpet down, it's still an activity space. And depending what type of carpet, or we could carpet the whole thing and then it's still an activity space. It's just a different activity space. But with the carpet tiles these days, they're very durable and if one gets stained, they're replaceable. But we could do multi-colors just to try and emphasize things on the floor. We've done that before quite successfully.
Okay. Harry. You're on the building committee. What question could you possibly have?
They were all decided before I joined. The way I see it is, when we do all this, we're gonna have a major storage problem. We got 100 chairs in the overflow. We got extra of these chairs. We got 20 or so round tables. We have 20 rectangular tables that all have to go somewhere. Is it feasible, you know where
So,
bottom right,
so that was initially kept for that storage in particular. If it's not large enough, then we can talk to it. But that was the intention.
but is it feasible to extend or take away the parking spots where the pastor parks at the bottom right, basically?
In here?
Yeah. And make that just basically storage?
It just increases the budget. I'm glad to give more budget because then my fee goes up.
Like
So,
I said, no, but we don't know where to go with all them chairs. We got
Yeah.
100 chairs.
so we had done a storage area up here and a storage area here. We think it's close. Granted, these chairs take up a lot more space than the metal stacking chairs that you can do 40 in a package, right? But these are like 8 or 9 in a stack. I mean, some of you might know exactly, but that does take more space. So that was the intention. That's why we had this space here and why we had this storage space up here. So we can put in the size of the tables and we can stack and check and see what the count is. If you can give us back a number of saying, here's how many we need to store, we can verify if that room is big enough.
Yeah, but then whenever we need them, we have to take them all the way from the front.
Well, the hope is that this room would cover 90% of the time, and if this is overflow, extra overflow chairs, we would run them back there.
Steve, it will.
Yeah.
They will fit
It's all
in that
measured.
room.
So, it will fit in, I've been told it will fit in that room. That's, okay.
Tables,
The tables, the chairs.
chair, I don't know, not chairs, tables.
But like, if you say, here's how many we need, we can do a test and make sure. But, you know, there's a space that could be built, sure. I don't know if the pastor's gonna be happy with you that he lost the space, but.
Find a place to park.
He'll find, oh, he's good. You got a good pastor here.
All right, thanks, Harry. We got one from Charlie.
Yeah, there's been a lot of comments about losing seating and if we grow, where are we gonna put people? But my observation, I think, is correct that we are not growing at the present time. So the way we're set up now, as far as I'm concerned, it's like an arena or a theater where you try to get people in fast and get them out fast. To me, that is not conducive to a welcoming community. Like this is concept is how you attract people. You have a main entrance now, and you have a way you can welcome people easily. And that room, like there'll be chairs in there that can still be used for many other functions, and we're actually making it bigger.
Yeah, it's a nice room.
So, and if we do grow, it's not, the new renovations aren't gonna make us grow. It's you and me. We're trying to change the culture of this church, being a more welcoming community. This helps us, enhances it, but it's still up to us to make it a welcoming community. And then comments about the overflow. I'm sorry. We have 100 or more empty chairs in here every Sunday. We do not need to overflow open. And if we do, like you said, we can use a screen or other technology to, and if we outgrow this facility and we have more people, we can afford another pastor. And you're gonna have more volunteers to draw on to do the sound and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't create more problems, it eliminates them. So that's my, my comments.
All right, thanks, Charlie. We got one from Chris over here.
Thank you.
One thing I've really liked about this church since I've been coming here is in the summertime, we'll exit out the back here and go onto the grass. And I find that just wonderful. So, I mean, you're the architect here. How do we maintain some of that kind of aspects we like if we exit out onto a concrete pad?
Well, a fair comment. I mean, when you come out, I mean, there is still grass. You know, all the grass is still there, right? So it's just how do you get out to it? In the current format, those doors are wonderful. I get it. If this is the way you're oriented and this is what you're doing, otherwise it's a fairly nasty wall. I'll be honest with you. Like for most, I was just down in Jamaica doing a bit of hurricane relief, and you know, their churches were all open or have windows that open, and it's a very different model. We don't have that weather here. So most of the time this is closed. So we do enjoy it when you can do it. But I think we do the same thing coming out this door here. And you set up stuff outside and people, like it could be some Sunday mornings you actually in the summer, you just put cones here and say, yeah, this is a drop off, but you don't get to use it today because we're going to have a barbecue, right? This is now the barbecue zone. This is the gathering zone. It's just you reorient how you do life here. You guys, and with most facilities, when we plant ideas of how you could use this gathering space, how you could use the space around it now that you've done it, the reality is you're going to find all sorts of ways, creative ways to do new things that you hadn't even thought of yet and that we haven't thought of. We're just trying to provide a place here that allows that flexibility to be inventive, to be creative. But you know, barbecues out here now. Yeah, this right here. Sorry, this is barbecue zone, right? You know, that's after a service, and you can set the barbecues under the canopy. Well, no, the fire department doesn't want you to do that. So just beyond the canopy, but you can set the condiments out underneath and actually take and enhance the space. So the concept is the same, just it's done differently, and it'll be nicer probably year long because you got that nice view out for more glass. Okay.
Okay, any more questions? Really? We used up all the questions? Oh, we got one from Jeff.
Yeah, you talk about the sound dampening being done in the gathering room. How's the reconfiguration of the sanctuary going to affect the sound in here? Because you're going to be projecting against a solid brick wall, whereas before you've been projecting against a broken up wall that dampened the sound somewhat.
Good question. And that's something that the sound techs, that whoever you work with doing your sound, we will have to test the room out and see how it works. And, you know, if we have to put some sound baffles on this wall, it's an easy solution and not terribly expensive now. And so, but we need to, the sound systems today are much more sophisticated than they were. So other than that, the sound should be fairly similar to this space. I mean, the roof shape isn't changing. The actual length isn't changing. So, like I say, is there a bit of a bounce potential? Sure. Is it going to be significantly difficult to repair? No, not at all. Like you can go 3D on the panel, like you can have a series of baffled panels that go along the back wall. We can make something architectural out of it as well. That's creative. And that would help. But I don't see it as being a huge problem. It's a nice room. So in that sense, that should work well. And with the sound systems today, they can actually tune them and do stuff that's really quite amazing. But we haven't included a budget for the sound system. I don't think, did we include sound system changes in the numbers, Victor? A nominal amount, probably not enough. Based on a project I just did, the number was scandalously higher than I thought it would be. So you can spend a lot of money on your sound system. I'm just telling you that right now. But you already have the workings of it. And the wiring now is so much simpler than it was 15 years ago, where you had to have big trunks of cables. Now it's one RJ45 cable does everything. It's digital. So there's a lot of good changes that way. But a fair comment. Thank you for that. And I think it's something that if we do decide to go ahead, we would want to investigate that in the next stage of design.
And another question I have is, with the reconfiguration of the floor plan, is it configured to meet our current needs, or is it configured to allow for some expansion?
Well, it's configured to make the building work better than it has been. I think that's probably what I'd say. We haven't changed the number of classrooms. We have improved the youth room, for sure. That's a significant improvement for that one space. Other than that, it's just making the building a little better flow. Flow is the wrong word, but circulation is the magic word we use as architects. It's the circulation is much more obvious and simple. And I think that makes a facility feel better and smaller, even if it's, but it's better use of the facility you've got. So that's what our goal was here with the committee, to work that through and get that level of efficiency up, but also that simplicity of movement, because that's the thing that confuses people. And like I say, the churches that I've been working on is correcting utilitarian moves that work, but they're not intuitive necessarily. So lots of basements and stuff and levels and things. So you guys are very fortunate. You have a flat floor in this whole facility. Let me tell you, that has made this discussion so much easier. I've had churches on sides of hills where they're half up and half down, and trying to get accessibility, which is now mandatory or ethically mandatory for a church. It's just crazy difficult. So this was a very nice situation to come to, a slab on grade. So anyway, I think back to you, Chris.
Okay, was there anybody else that thought of anything that they
We have
wanted to ask?
one over here.
We got one over here. Martin's got one.
My question is, when we have funerals, we have luncheons afternoons. Is there going to be enough room to have tables set up in that overflow room, plus access for people to get to the facilities in here for the funeral service?
Some of that will come with layout, but remember that room is going to be one full bay longer than it is right now, so it's a bigger space than it is now. And you just have to set it up. Realistically, but if I was setting up for a reception afterwards, I would try to leave an aisleway along here and do all the tables in this zone, and maybe even in there if you have to. Depends how many you're doing it for. That's the advantage of chairs even in this room. You could put tables up in this room. Whether you will or not, that's a ministry decision that every congregation makes. One of the churches I was part of, we would actually have Sunday morning services with tables, 3 to 4 times a year for discussion, or it was a celebration of some sort. All I'm saying is you've already made a lot of the good moves that give you the flexibility to do these things. But the intention of that room is that yes, you could use it for a reception afterwards. And hopefully, you could come and roll some tables into the back of the auditorium afterwards if that's where you needed more tables. If it was that busy a funeral. But I'll leave that to your creativity to figure out how to do. So.
Thanks, Martin. Anybody else?
Yo.
Alice, is this a question or comment?
I guess it's a question or comment.
Okay, you are on the building committee, so I'm instructed not to have the building committee comment, I guess is the thing. So,
Okay, comment.
so think of a question you can ask the architect.
Okay, ask a question of the architect. Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
Okay, good.
You head me off if I need to. Okay. By your own admission, you mentioned that the flow of the church is fairly nice the way it is. Would you agree?
Like it's flat, it's,
Oh, the floor, oh, you have a flat floor. This puts you ahead of most churches that we're working on. I'm just gonna tell you that. You
Okay.
guys are in an amazing spot.
okay. And I'm also just asking, like, very much if the way the flow is now, leaving the service, we would be going into the overflow the way it is there. Even if we had to flip, would we not be doing the same thing? We'd be going into the overflow from here to there, very much the same way?
Oh, yeah, I haven't said anything different. I mean, whichever way we're aiming, we're still presuming that going through these doors at the end. The issue is for the service to work, those doors need to be closed.
During the service?
Yeah, so then somebody, if they're 2 minutes late, then they have to go around the back alley, come through the back alley, and come in the back doors.
Right, right.
And that means that we can't have those classrooms back there, or so that extra ministry room and the extra storage back there. So there's a number of things. Like, can it work? Sure. I mean, but logically, you've turned your church around, and now you're trying to force people to go into the back and the back. I mean, it's not as logical, or the more logical one is to have this be the back, that be the front, with that being the new entry.
Right.
That's more logical. Is it, like, can you work around it? Sure.
Right.
But do you want to?
Yeah.
If you're building for the future, you have to say, what is it you want to do when you're building for the future?
Okay. Because, again, correct me if I'm wrong. We get the people to come in through the new entryway. Great. They're in the overflow, having a coffee before the service, talking, carrying on. We know that the only spot then that we're going to have a little flow problem is getting them from there into here.
Depends how good the coffee is.
Yeah. So that's our only little squibble, I guess, then I would say, is getting them. We already got them in the overflow. We got them in the building. We got them in the overflow. It's just a little hiccup or flow or whatever word you want to call it is between that room and this room then.
Well, yeah, so the more logical approach is to come into the back side of the sanctuary and then have the front there. That is if I was laying it out brand new, that's automatically how it would be.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So the question of not doing this thing, I'm going to go a bit against what we would do if it was new and keep it the way it is. That's your decision as a congregation. But if I was doing it brand new, there's no question that would be the front end. And this would be the back.
Right.
So like from straight planning logic, that's what we would do. But we wouldn't even think twice about that.
Now, I guess my only other comment or question, okay. Sorry, question.
Sorry.
I guess I would say is, I've been in churches before that you come in, most of the natural light is gone, and it's quite dark.
Right.
And the screen's there, and you got your seating. It seems more like a movie theater than a church. When you walk in now, it feels like a church, to me. You've got the glass, you've got just something about it.
And I would expect all of that to remain. And if we go screens on each side, the pipes are still there. We would just put blind, like a roller blind, electric blind across the glass, just so that if we need to cut the light for whatever's happening in here. We could decide not to do that and it would still work. But it's just, the darker it is, the better it is for the screens. We could put TV screens up because they don't care about the ambient light.
Okay.
So if we did ambient light, we wouldn't even need the blinds on there.
Right.
So.
No more comments. Well done, Al. Good questions. Good questions. Made me think of something else. Anybody else have a question? I know Ralph had one. Yeah. And then we're going to bring it to a close.
Yeah, I know that we have what we have as concept drawings, and that's what we've been working on. Is this on? And I have a question for the architect. Somebody asked, there was a question asked about a balcony or something over here. Now, I'm 80 years old, so I was here when they put this building up and they put these beams up, and the structural part of this church are the beams that hold the roof up. The rest is all fill in. The same with this back wall. That back wall can be taken away and a beam put there with 3 or 4 posts in it to hold it, to separate the back part from the front part with some glass panes in it or whatnot, and then you can build out that way. Now, you tell me, you're the architect, I'm just a dumb Dutchman that goes to this church. Is that
There's
what,
no dumb
that wall is,
Dutchman.
that wall is, doesn't support nothing. It can easily have a beam put underneath it with some posts. And then you can go that way, and then you don't have to turn everything around.
Yeah, oh, can we move that direction? Yes.
See, I'm thinking that the sound booth where they're sitting now could go up the height of the pipes. And then you'd have underneath there, and underneath that wall, you would have a steel beam and steel post to hold that, whatever that is. And then you could, that's just a thought. If I'm out of order, please tell me.
So, can it be done? Well, same as those pieces could be done, but again, think back to what my project manager told me. He says, I haven't installed a new, taken the column out yet. There we'd have to take out the peak roof, take the organ out, take that whole wall out, and we could extend the room out. We'd have to get new replica arches probably to do it. No, in the back, that is not a replica arch. That is just a structural, it's not, anyway, if you wanted to stretch the room out, it could be done. It's just, you're not actually looking for a lot more spaces right now, according to what I'm hearing. And that wasn't the mandate we were given. So that's why we didn't look at changing it, because we were trying to stay within budget, which is to stay within the building envelope wherever possible. That's our first rule of attack. Whenever somebody says their budget is tight and they have only so much space, what's the best way to do it? And so we don't go with, building new building outside more than we need to. But like I say, it can be done. It doesn't sound like you're screaming for it. And right now you have a nice size room that is working for you. So when budget was the issue, we didn't look at stretching. That's one of the things. And that would also take a lot of, like if we went out, we'd have to get rid of all that stuff because those would not be nice seats underneath there. They're, if you're in the theater.
You have to change any of that there. You just put a beam there and then you already got 20 feet extra in the front hall.
And then we'd have to build a new front hall out there to make it work.
All right. We're not going to win this conversation. I can tell.
Are you saying Dutchman or stubborn? I'm a Dutch. I'm not Dutch. I have the white hair for it.
So the wonderful thing is, I think Mike, he's sitting in the back there, and Stephen, they're going to be here afterwards, and you can bend their ear and you can talk to them and hear it from them. And then the rest of you that want to visit together and talk, then you'll have a chance. What I'd like to do is invite you to say thanks to Mike and to Stephen for coming out tonight by sharing some appreciation for their efforts. It's not easy to get up in front of people that are Dutch and you're trying to spend their money for them, and some may not think it's necessary. One of the things that I hope you take away from this evening, and I hope you take away from the whole process, is kind of reiterating what Charlie said. In this church, our fear should not be, how are we going to have enough space and how are we going to have enough chairs? It really comes down to the people that are in the congregation. And the question is, do you see the vision of us going into the community and bringing those people into this building? And if that is not part of your mission and you don't see it as part of the mission, then you shouldn't be voting yes for renovations, because going out in the community, there's a huge pool of people there that need to be here. But if you don't think they need to be here, then we have a problem, because this church is just going to get more empty. I heard that Ralph is moving away. Is that true, Ralph? Oh, it's nothing to do with it. Okay. But that's out of order. Okay, that's out of order. But we need to replenish the population of the church. We need to bring the hope to the world. We need to fill the place up. And so that's where you should be thinking, how can I do it? How can I get part of the mission? How do I want to belong to it? Because just by renovating the church on its own, it'll be exciting for 2 years, and then there'll be a mortgage payment, and it won't be so exciting. So we have to fill the place up and have the excitement and have the praise and the worship and the good message being preached Sunday after Sunday, and the programs happening, like Ralph said, 7 days a week. This is a going building. It has to be that. And if we're not that,
then we're just going to get more and more empty, and these rows are going to come out, and we're going to space all the other chairs a little bit more and more. And then eventually we're just moving to this hall over here. We don't want to see that. We want to see excitement, and the vision is for rejuvenation and renewal. And we can't do that on our own. We can only do it through the power of God, and that starts with prayer. So I'd encourage you all to really put it into your daily devotions, praying for renewal for the congregation, and then showing some action and inviting your neighbor or your colleague or someone that you know to a service that accommodates them, that they feel welcomed, and they can hear God's word, and seeds can be planted. So that's my perspective, and everybody else has perspective, so you're welcome to share it with each other and talk to me about it. But I'm going to pass it to Andrew as we close the evening off. And I'd like to say thanks to the building committee. It's a thankless job. We have people on there that have quit. We've had people on there that are frustrated, can't sleep at night. There's a lot of thought that went into these plans, and let's put our hands together and thank the building. So you'll hear from council what the next steps are, but you can bend the ear of your local elder and deacon and share your wisdom with them too. Okay.
All right, Chris, I want to thank you for leading this evening, for your leadership in council, for your vision. Very appreciated. Thank you, everybody, for coming and for your questions, for your level of engagement. Steve, thank you for presenting. And is it Mike that's over there? All right, thanks for joining us. Are we, I see Steph is up there. Are we going to sing in a moment? Okay, so I'll let you set that up. But we definitely want to close this evening with prayer. So let's bow our heads and lift these things up to the Lord. Heavenly Father, you've heard our conversation. You know what's on our hearts. You know our aspirations as a church. You know maybe our fears that we might have, our doubts. And Father, we lift this all up to you as your people in this place and this time. We pray that you will give us wisdom and discernment. We want to be faithful with the resources that you've entrusted to us. And we want to be faithful as your kingdom ambassadors in this community here in Aylmer. So, Lord, will you guide us through the next steps? Will you help council to do what is best? And as we prepare to transition this meeting from a time of questions and answers and wonderings to a time of praise to you, we ask for your blessing. May it be that the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit would be and abide with us all. Amen. All right, Stefan, you're going to lead us now in some singing.
Yes. Before we sing, I thought I'd share this scripture passage, and it's the song that we're going to sing as well, the one that we learned the last couple of months, or the last month or so, Psalm 145, and I thought I've been praying about it and thinking about it the last couple of days, and I know these kind of meetings we sometimes can leave with indifferent feelings, or we can leave with opposing feelings at times. And I thought it would be a good reminder of us all, like, yes, we can have different opinions and different feelings about things. This psalm reminds me of the fact that even if we are not always the same, not always unified in everything, God is always the same. He stays the same throughout the ages. And so for us as a church who for 75 plus years has been here, God has been faithful in all those years, and he will continue to be faithful, whatever happens next. So just a couple of verses from that psalm. It says, "Great is Yahweh the Lord, and greatly to be praised. His greatness is unsearchable. Our generation will commend your works to another, and will declare your mighty acts," just like the generations before us. "I will meditate on the glorious majesty of your honor, on your wondrous works. Men will speak of the might of your awesome acts. I will declare your greatness." We need to do that. And then finally, verse 7, "They will utter the memory of your great goodness and will sing of your righteousness." And so that's what generations before us did for centuries, and that's what we should continue doing, is in everything continue to utter God's greatness. So if that may be a good place for us to end tonight, I welcome you to stand with me as we sing the song together. I'll bless your name, O God, this day that I await. From dawn to setting sun, the greatness I'll proclaim. Your glory far exceeds all human thought. So with each breath I'll bless your name, O God. Your name will be revered by children yet to come, as generations sing of wonders you have done. Your strong and mighty deeds are always near. O God most high, your name will be revered. How great is the Lord, greatly to be praised. How great is the Lord our God. How great is the Lord, greatly to be praised. Your gracious hand provides for all who live and breathe. Your mercy runs to find the helpless and the weak. When we call out to you, you hear our cries, and all our needs your gracious hand provides. How great is the Lord, greatly to be praised. How great is the Lord our God. How great is the Lord, greatly to be praised. Forever without end, creation will rejoice. When works of wicked men you finally destroy, your power will proclaim till Christ descends, and you will reign forever without end. How great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. How great is the Lord our God. How great is the Lord, greatly to be praised. Greatly to be praised. And God be with you. Amen.